Today we're going to be talking about, and there's Lev, and there's Kareem.
Hi, Casey. Hey, Lev. How are you?
Good. How are you both?
Hi, Casey. Hi, Kareem.
Hi, Lev. Hi, Casey. How are you?
So, welcome everyone. Just to introduce myself, my name is Casey Miller, and I am a content strategist with Kiva. And today we are going to be talking about World Refugee Day, and that's why we have Lev and Kareem here with us. First, I'll give you a little bit of a rundown on Kiva. If you don't know much about Kiva, Kiva is the smartest way to give. We're a global crowdfunding website where you can lend instead of donate as little as $25 to people around the world who are working hard to improve their lives. And right now, we're focusing on lending to refugees for World Refugee Day. We want to share refugee stories and break some stereotypes. And don't forget, we're matching all your loans to refugees this Sunday, dollar for dollar. So next, I'd like to invite Lev to introduce himself.
Great. Thanks, Casey and Kareem. It's good to be here with you, and thanks for everybody who has joined us. My name is Lev Plavis, and I am a Director of Investments here at Kiva, specifically focused on our work supporting refugees and displaced populations around the world. And I'll hand it over to Kareem to introduce himself.
Yeah. Thanks so much, Lev. Thanks so much, Casey. First, thank you so much for having me for this amazing event. It's such an honor. My name is Kareem. I am a co-founder for a small business called Rajain, which we help refugees by remarketing their handmade product. I really would like to thank Kiva team and Kiva community for all the support that they are providing for small business owners and for refugees.
Of course. So again, if you're just joining, we're here to talk about World Refugee Day and lending to refugees through Kiva. We have Kiva borrower, Kareem, and our Director of Investments, Lev, here with us today. So let's dive into some questions. First of all, Kareem, can you tell me a bit about your background, why we're talking to you today for World Refugee Day?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I am a son of refugee. My dad, he's a refugee, and he has to be forcibly displaced from where he's living or from his home for 2 times. The first time when he was 8 years old in 1984, they ran away from some ethnic cleansing was happening there, and they walked to Jordan. This is the first time, and the second time during the a civil war happened in Jordan in 1970, called the Black Friday, and he also had to forcibly displaced to Syria, and I think I have some experience growing up in that home.
Yeah. Where are you from right now? Where are you living?
I live now in San Jose, but I am Jordanian, the nationality. My dad is a Palestinian refugee.
And can you tell me a bit about your business and how a Kiva loan helped your business?
Actually, Kiva loan was so essential for my business to kickstart it, and the idea of a business is to support refugees by marketing their handmade products, and the idea came to me because I want to support refugees. I'm not in like a refugee hub place like Middle East, so I want to support them remotely. And I thought about it. Maybe the best thing that I can do is to utilize my business experience and do some platform where refugees can sell their products. And in order to start or to relaunch my business, I needed capital, and Kiva was really good help in that direction. So I made a campaign on Kiva, and I found a lot of supporters. Thanks for all of them. They backed my loan, and I got initial capital that's good to start the business, and that was last May. And we are not now in the process of relaunching. And the idea is behind the business is, okay, we need to market the refugees handmade products, and the goal was behind that as first to generate some income to refugees, and second is to spread the word about their causes, about the stories, what they're doing. So we try to connect all our products to refugee stories, who made them, what's their story, what's their background. And the third thing is to connect the people, especially in the West societies, to the refugees. So when they buy something from them, they know who made it, what's his background or her background. So they get some connections. So we can change some stereotypes about refugees.
That's great. Thank you, Kareem. Lev, can you tell us a bit more about your role in refugee investments at Kiva?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, Kareem, it's great to hear about your experience and how capital helped you with your business, because I think that's very much in line with what we're trying to do at Kiva. I've been with Kiva for a little over 8 years, and I spent the first 4 of those years based in Istanbul, Turkey, really focusing on our projects in the Middle East. And I was there really at the time when the Syrian refugee crisis was hitting Turkey pretty significantly in terms of a large influx of Syrians into Turkey. And I was also spending a lot of my time in Jordan and Lebanon, which are 2 countries, of course, that also have hosted a large number of Syrian refugees. And, one of the things that I quickly saw, and I think Kareem is another great example of this, is refugees are much more than just refugees. Refugees are fathers and mothers and brothers and sisters, and really also entrepreneurs. And I saw this incredible entrepreneurial spirit in many of the refugees that I met, which really got me to thinking or to realizing that humanitarian assistance is certainly important for refugees as they flee from one country to another. But that's only the start. And looking forward, what can we do as Kiva, as an organization committed to economic empowerment and to financial inclusion? What can we do to help refugees start small businesses or grow small businesses? And that's really where the perspective I am coming at it from.
Absolutely. That's great to hear. So, Lev, what would you say we've learned about lending to refugees so far, at least in Kiva's history?
Yeah, so I think, stepping back just for a second before we get into that, if we think about, clearly, there is a need for refugees, or refugees have a desire to start small businesses, to grow small businesses. But the reality is that refugees, unlike so many of us, cannot go to banks and take out loans. Most banks, we realized, are unwilling to lend to refugees because they're just perceived as too risky of a population to support. And so that's really, I think, the role where Kiva came in and the role that we played, is that we are backed by this amazing community of lenders, of internet lenders, and the Kiva community. Many of you who have tuned in today, who really made it loud and clear that you wanted to support lending to refugees and you were going to put your $25 towards loans to refugees. And that helped us kind of provide loans to refugees at a time when other places weren't, when banks were not willing to do that. And so we've been doing that now for 5 years. We've provided, as a Kiva community, over $20 million worth of loans to refugees. And we've seen that refugees are actually repaying their loans just as high as non-refugees. And so I think that's an important lesson for banks and the rest of the world to learn that refugees, do repay their loans. Refugees are entrepreneurs. Refugees are small business owners, and they make a great investment to kind of, drive their own small businesses.
Yeah, absolutely. I know at Kiva we have a 95% repayment rate with the refugee community. So definitely. Kareem, can you tell me more about what goals you have for your business?
Yeah, for the short-term goals, we want to market refugees' handmade products. So we are now buying handmade products from refugees and remarket them here in USA and Canada and Europe. But the long-term vision is to have a satellite training centers or locations where those centers are based in the areas that has high refugee population. Provide training on handmade stuff, how they handcrafts, how can they make handmade products, and provide services like marketing services. Now, for refugees, is to take pictures for their products. They need cameras, they need lighting fixtures. Those are costly, so those centers will provide such services, which will be free of charge, and also to do other business-related training. How can they write content about their products? So at the end, what we are trying to reach to is to have a platform like Etsy, but it's for refugees, where everything is made by refugees. And this is our long-term vision.
That's great. Lev, we have some field partners who do similar projects, right? Where there's trainings offered with them. Can you talk a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I think one of the big things that we're trying to do in addition to just providing loans to refugees as the Kiva community is change the narrative, right? Refugee at the end of the day is a label, right? It doesn't define Kareem as who he is. Kareem is an entrepreneur and a small business owner. And so what can we do to change that narrative? And so many of our field partners on the ground in countries like Jordan and Lebanon, in Latin America, where we have large refugee populations, in East Africa, where we're active in supporting refugees, are helping provide refugees with trainings, how to start a small business, how to grow a small business, how to market your small business, how to learn the accounting skills necessary to run your small business. And that complements the loan that the Kiva community, the loans that the Kiva community are helping to fund. And so that, moving forward is a huge goal of ours, is to continue to support that and support our field partners on the ground who are helping empower refugees in this way.
Yeah, absolutely. Just as a quick little reminder for those who are just tuning in, we are currently talking about World Refugee Day and Lending to Refugees with Kiva's Director of Investment, Lev, and a borrower, Kareem. So my next question for you, Lev, is what are your goals for the future of refugee lending with Kiva?
Yeah, so I think, now that we're 5 years into this, in many ways, it's just a start. And I mentioned that, we're seeing that refugees repay their loans at the same rate as non-refugees. And Casey, you mentioned the 95% repayment rate. And here we have Kareem, an example of a successful refugee borrower and small business owner with us today. The goal is to not make it seem unique to provide loans and to invest in refugees, right? We want it to be something that is more mainstream. And so the Kiva community has played a huge part in helping to start building that narrative and build the foundation. And we want to get to a point where banks and the traditional financial sector sees refugees as investment worthy as well. And so recently we were excited to share the launch of the Kiva Refugee Investment Fund, which is an effort to kind of build on our existing work and provide additional capital, working with kind of some of our bigger institutional partners, separate from just the Kiva community of lenders putting in $25, to bring institutional capital to support lending to refugees. And so the goal, in the coming years is to drive the support, not just through loans, but also sharing our lessons learned, right? Sharing the results that we're seeing, that refugees can and do repay their loans, that they are starting successful small businesses. And so really the long-term goal is to make it so that a refugee in Jordan or Colombia or Kenya can go walk into a bank just like any other citizen of that country and access a loan, and they're not going to be excluded from the financial system the way the refugees are in many countries today. I don't know, Kareem, how does that sound?
That sounds great. Actually, I also want to highlight that there is, because there's difference between the income level between countries. I want to say that the $5,000 and $3,000 and $2,000 loan in Jordan and Palestine and Turkey and those areas really make a huge difference. It can buy a machine. They can buy a machine. They can buy really very important tools for them to kickstart the business. So the $2,000 might not be like a big deal in US and in Europe and Canada, but it's make a huge difference in those countries. And I lived there for many years, and I know that this is really it will be a great help for refugees.
Yeah, loans can be absolutely life-changing. So my last question for you, Kareem, and Lev, I'll ask you this as well, but what stereotype would you like to break about refugees?
Unfortunately, there's a lot of bad stereotypes going on refugees, and I think the major one is that refugees as moving to other countries to make their life better, to have better lifestyle, to collecting the government paychecks, which is this I think it's major. It's strong because refugees, they do not select or they didn't have the option to stay in their country or to go out. They are forced to go out. They are forced to leave their country. And when they leave behind their stories, their memories, their families. And most of the time they leave and they leave behind also tragedy. They lose some of their friends, especially now in Syria, their friends, their family members. So they left the country to survive their life, to survive the life of their children, and it's not an optional thing for them. So having this stereotype of refugees that they are coming to get jobs from the people of the existing country, which is in Europe, in Turkey, in Jordan, this is really major wrong perception on refugees. And this is take us to the second stereotype that refugees take a proper support from UN, from other organizations, which is true. Some of them, they have like salaries, food coupons from UN, from UNRWA, from those organizations, but those doesn't sufficient to make a good living or even acceptable living. It's below the bare minimum. So they need additional source of income, and they need to start their own businesses. They need organizations like Kiva to get the loan to start their business. So this is the second stereotype, and I think also the third stereotype, which is refugees are scary, and I think this is connected to the people nature that they are afraid from the unknown. So I think after knowing the refugees, they know their culture, from where they are coming, knowing their story, it's really help the people, the local people, to accept them and to accept them in their society. And refugees, most of the time, they are a positive added value to the society that are going on. They are highly skilled people, a lot of them. They are business owners, as I've said, they are entrepreneurs. And this was clear. If you go down to Egypt, the Syrian refugees, they make a huge positive impact. They changed the food industry. They open some light industrial facility. They have very big positive impact on the economy, and this is also happening in Jordan. They sometimes it's look like it's crisis, but it's really there. There's also, if you look at the half full, that's a huge or a positive impact or a positive added value to the society that they're moving to.
Yeah. What you said about the second stereotype really resonated with me, because it's something we talk about a lot. Is while emergency aid is great, it's long-term investments like loans that really can help a person for the rest of their life. So yeah, I really love what you said about that. What about you, Lev?
I feel like Kareem kind of hit the nail on so many of those key pieces. So I don't have much to add, but one of the things from the time I've spent in the field with Kiva and meeting our borrowers, I think back to the number of times I've just been inspired by the refugee borrowers that I've met. And, one of the things that I really realized is that, the term refugee is a label. It's not who somebody is. It describes what happened to them. They were forcibly displaced from their home, out of their control. And so, refugee describes what happened to them, but who they are as a human being is an entrepreneur, as a small business owner, as a father, a mother, a brother, and a sister, and so on. And so I think, changing that narrative is important for us at Kiva. And one small way we can do that is by empowering people with access to small loans so that they can grow their small business, start a small business, support family members to get a better education, pay for health expenses for their children, and so on. Like Kareem said, $1,000 to $3,000 loan might seem like a small amount to many of us, but in a lot of the countries where we're working, that really does make a difference. And so, I hope we get to a point where refugees are described not firstly as refugees, but as who they are, whether it's a small business owner or an employee of a company or so on, a teacher, a student. That's really what I would love to see. And I think the Kiva community is helping us get there, and we're making steps every day towards that goal.
Excellent. Great. Well, thank you both so much for joining us today, and everyone who's watching this. In case anyone missed it, we're a global crowdfunding website where you can lend as little as $25 to people around the world, like refugees, who are working to improve their lives. And please don't forget to support refugees through Kiva Loans for World Refugee Day this Sunday, match all of your loans to Refugee dollar for dollar. Again, thank you for joining. And if you missed the first part of this or anything else, we'll be posting this video on our Instagram, on our blog, and on our YouTube. Thanks, everyone. See you next time.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks so
you.
much.